Pahoran gave a life-changing message, and I want to talk about it in the context of a love story you've probably never heard of, David and Michal. So don't worry, this is going to come back to Pahoran in the Book of Mormon, but stay with me as you hear about this amazing love story. Shortly after David slew Goliath, Michal, the daughter of King Saul, fell in love with David. Because David paid the requested price, Saul gave David, Michal, his daughter to wife. After defeating the Philistines in battle, David brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, a momentous occasion. David was so happy that he danced before the Lord with all his might. Now, Michal was not pleased with David's dancing. She felt like he was exposing too much of his body while he was dancing. We read that Michal looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. So after the celebration, David came home to bless his household. Michal now had a choice. She could have said, "Welcome home, honey," and brought up David's dancing at a less emotionally charged time. Instead, she chose to express her anger, saying, "How the king of Israel honored himself today, uncovering himself today before the eyes of his servants' maids, as any vulgar fellow might shamelessly uncover himself." Now, David had a choice. He could have apologized. "Honey, I'm sorry, you're right. I was out of control. Can I take you to our favorite Jerusalem restaurant and make it up to you?" Sadly, David didn't choose peace. Instead, he escalated the argument, saying, "It was before the Lord which chose me before thy father to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord." Thus, David's condescending response included an attack on Michal's father. What's the ending? The scriptural record concludes, "Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death." There was an irreconcilable breach. Surely there was more to the story, but this argument was a permanent break in their relationship. How could David and Michal have gone from deep love to irreconcilable separation? I think it was instead of seeking to understand each other and give soft answers, they threw out phrases like "vulgar fellow" and "the Lord chose me before your father." We will all have times when someone we love does something we disapprove of. We can still choose to be kind. We can choose to not let our pride get in the way of peace. What is the solution? President Gordon B. Hinckley taught, "So many of us make a great fuss of matters of small consequence. We are so easily offended. Happy is the man who can brush aside the offending remarks of another and go on his way." Responding to difficult situations by being a peacemaker can completely change the course of our lives and sometimes the course of history. Let's get back to the Book of Mormon and Pahoran, a scriptural example of someone who moved past offense and brought greater stability to his country. The Nephites were in the middle of an intense war, and Chief Captain Moroni felt that Pahoran, the chief judge, was not doing enough to help his warriors. In a stinging letter he wrote to Pahoran, Moroni said, "Your armies were about to perish with hunger because of your exceedingly great neglect toward them. The blood of thousands shall come upon your heads for vengeance." At the end of his letter, Moroni threatened Pahoran, saying, "Send speedily unto me of your provisions and of your men. If you will not do this, I come unto you speedily, even if it must be by the sword." Unfortunately, Moroni was unaware that the judgment seat had been taken away from Pahoran. Pahoran was on the run and administering the government from a nearby city. How should Pahoran respond? Rather than get angry at Moroni's false accusation, Pahoran responded, "In your epistle you have censured me, but it mattereth not. I am not angry, but do rejoice in the greatness of your heart." Pahoran chose not to be upset. Consider how things would have been different if he had reacted as David did. What if Pahoran had responded to Moroni by saying, "The Lord chose me instead of you to be a chief judge," and the Nephite civilization imploded in civil war? That could have happened. But Pahoran chose peace, a soft answer. Now let's imagine, what if Pahoran had stood in David's shoes when Michal rebuked him and said, "Michal, you have censured me, but it mattereth not. I am not angry." Now, I've learned that if someone starts really going in at you, you shouldn't use that exact phrase, "Behold, you have censured me, but it mattereth not. I am not angry." That'll probably make them more angry. When we can handle disappointments and say with a generous heart something along the lines of, "It mattereth not. I am not angry," we are on the path to peace.